all, I just have to preface the big news over the weekend with the fact that Hillary Clinton has a problem, and that is that one of her big spiels is that she is very strong. It's not just that she claims that she's a normal woman. She claims she's superhuman. So, for example, Hillary Clinton just last week, she said that Donald Trump projects phony strength. Here's what she said.
People, when they're afraid, like and need the idea of a strong leader. What do you say to the supporters of him who resonate with that message?
Well, there's phony strength and there's real strength. And it's phony strength to not know what you're talking about and to make outrageous statements that will actually make our job harder, no matter how in the moment it sounds. Real strength is leveling with the American people and making it clear we will defeat ISIS.
Okay, we stop there. Real strength is not lying to people and also not being a dead body on CNN. So over the weekend, we have exclusive footage. You've seen a bunch of angles of Hillary Clinton falling over. If you haven't seen that by now, we'll show you it in just a minute. But we have exclusive footage of Hillary Clinton at the 9/11 memorial yesterday. Here's what it looked like.
Hey, wait up. I want to talk. You're fun. Can I walk with you?
Brenda, get
Don't
back
pay
here!
any attention to him.
You're not going anywhere!
Oh, yeah? Who says so?
I do!
Oh. What are you doing? Stop it! See, Arnold, he's not afraid of you. Arnold, why do you have to hit everybody? Who do you think you are? You always have to beat everybody up.
Yeah, it went poorly. So after that, they took Hillary and they threw her into a van and they drove her off. And then here's what happened next.
Something has happened to the president.
What about the vice president?
The vice president is mentally unbalanced.
Is this legal?
Oh, yeah. Probably. You think so? Yes.
Suddenly, Dave has a great job.
I can't tell you the whole story. It's kind of a national emergency kind of thing, but you got to help me cut the budget a little.
You got to cut the budget.
Okay.
He has a great house.
So, and that's how Kate McKinnon ended up as president. Basically, Hillary Clinton apparently was taken away where she perished, and the Democratic establishment desperately attempted to get Kate McKinnon on the phone so they could substitute her in to run for the rest of the primary. Okay, so that's not actually, here's what actually happened. Here's the tape of Hillary Clinton yesterday. So remember, the run-up to all of this is that Hillary went on a coughing jag like a week and a half ago. We played it for 4 minutes. She's coughing. By the way, my wife, who's a doctor, when she saw that, she said, looks like pneumonia to me. Right? But Hillary Clinton said, nothing wrong with me. It's just allergies. Then she goes on and she campaigns. And remember, the media was saying anybody who has even mild questions about her health is a sexist. Chris Chaliza of the Washington Post wrote a piece 5 days ago, in which he said, you must stop asking questions about Hillary's health. There's nothing there. There's no reason to ask questions about Hillary Clinton's health. And then this happened on Sunday. This is at the 9/11 memorial. It was 75 degrees and breezy outside. She's not dancing, gang. She is wobbling because she's falling over. And down she goes. And they take her, and they then proceed to shovel her in the van like Freddie Gray in the back of a Baltimore police van. And then they speed off, and they leave the media behind. And then after that, you know, all that happens, and we'll add a closer angle. This was slightly suspicious. They say that this is glasses falling out of her pants, but look at her right leg. Okay, look at her right leg in this particular video. They slowed it down so you can see. Okay, something fell out of her leg, pant leg right there, and you don't know what it is. See? Here we go. And doink, something falls down. People said it was her glasses. Okay, maybe it's her glasses, maybe it's not. Every conspiracy theory is now at least tenable because Hillary is lying about her health. And we know she's lying about her health. I mean, remember, just 5 minutes ago, Hillary had her coughing jag. And if you don't recall this is gross, folks, so prepare yourself if you're eating breakfast or lunch. This is what Hillary Clinton did just last week when she got into her coughing jag and took a glass of water. Yeah, that is some yucky stuff falling right in the glass from Hillary's face. So, again, something is wrong with Hillary. Hillary is sick. Okay, she's sick. So they drive her off. And the media don't even cover this. Only Fox News covers this, and the only reason they cover it is because, one, they have a reporter on the ground, and two, these angles that we're seeing, they're not coming from members of the news media, they're coming from civilians. So if this had not been caught on tape, you know Hillary would have lied about it. You know that the Clinton campaign, that the media, they would have said, how dare you imply anything happened? This is all just conspiracy theory nonsense. No way any of this happened. It just can't have happened. You must be crazy. They caught it on tape. So they shove her in the van like a sack of old turnips, and then they drive off. And they leave her shoe behind. She's like old, frail, dying Cinderella. They leave her shoe behind, and the NYPD has to come back and grab it and take it to her later and fit it back on her foot. So they take her away, and we don't know where she goes for like an hour. We have no clue where she went. And then they release a statement. Don't worry, she didn't go to the hospital. She went to Chelsea Clinton's apartment. Okay, now, let me tell you something. If my mom collapsed, my mom's 60, if she collapsed and they shoved her in a van, I hope they're going to the hospital, because that's a bad thing. I wouldn't say take her to my house. I'd say take her to the hospital so she can get hydrated or something. They take her to Chelsea Clinton's because they're trying to claim no big deal. They say she overheated. And then the media start claiming that this is, Manila, that this is like it's the hottest place on earth. It's so humid, it's so hot, it's like the bowels of hell. And it was the bowels of hell in New York City yesterday. I know a bunch of people in New York City yesterday. They were out having a good time, walking their dogs. Apparently it was really nice yesterday. It was like mid-70s, kind of 40% humidity. It was actually the coolest day of the weekend. And they were claiming that, no, Hillary, she was brave for even going out there. Now, nobody bothers to ask. So how many people actually fainted like Hillary? How many people just collapsed like Hillary? They didn't bother asking that. They also claimed that Hillary stumbled. Okay, she didn't stumble. When you look at the tape, she's wobbling. She's not moving. Stumble implies I take a step forward and trip over somebody. Unless she tripped over Harambe's ghost, she didn't trip over anybody. Okay, she lost control over her legs, and she lost control over her consciousness, and she fell over. So they take her away, and then we find out she's at Chelsea's. And then she emerges from Chelsea's. And she comes out, and a little girl breaks through Secret Service and runs up to her for a hug. Now, let me tell you something about Secret Service. You don't break through Secret Service. Okay, this is what we call a pre-planned photo op. So she walks out, and this little girl breaks through and gives Hillary a big hug.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
You remember the media? Oh, yeah. For Christ's sake. Because they know how ridiculous this is. And the little girl comes out, and Hillary's waving to the crowd, and then she gets back in that van. She goes up to Chappaqua. She cancels her events for the next couple days. So what happened? Well, hours later, they say what actually happened is that she's been coughing because of allergies, but she was diagnosed with pneumonia on Friday, but she's on antibiotics, and then she was overheated on Sunday. Okay, none of this makes any sense. Okay, that cough was not allergies. There was the media were on top of her on Friday. I'm not sure when she had time to go to the doctor to be diagnosed with pneumonia. And then they came out with another story later in the day where they said there's this virulent, contagious disease, basically, this virus that has struck down half of Hillary's staff. It struck down half of her staff. Robbie Mook had to go to the hospital, which begs one question, which is, so you've got patient 0 in the stand over here hugging a small child knowing she's contagious and ill, right? I'm ill. You know what I do when I'm ill? I sleep in a different room than my wife, and I sleep in a different room than my kids because I don't want them to get sick. Hillary Clinton says, well, as long as I'm not going to suck out the soul of the child, I may as well get the kid sick with pneumonia. Like, where are the parents? You think the parents feel good about that? Yeah, honey, go on, hug the old lady who's disease-ridden. A great idea. What a great idea. So it's going to be, it is going to be the height of irony when our decisions about who to vote for are completely decided by the fact that Hillary was, again, patient 0 in some sort of tragic epidemic that wipes out 3/4 of the American population. But what was amazing about that, there are a few things that are amazing about this. One, Hillary's deeply dishonest. She lies about everything. So people were theorizing that she has Parkinson's disease. People were theorizing that she's got the bubonic plague. People were theorizing that she's got pneumonia as a secondary infection from something else, right? People are theorizing all of this. And before, that was all conspiracy theory crap. Now, you can't believe anything Hillary says. You can't believe a word that comes out of their mouth. And she's still not releasing her full medical records. So we're going to continue in just a second by explaining what the media did about that, because there are 3 big stories here. One is Hillary's a giant liar, so you can't believe anything she says. 2 is because she's a giant liar, she may in fact be a walking corpse. Any minute, she may reanimate and start trying to eat people's brains. It's possible. And 3rd, the media are just, you can't believe anything the media tell you. So this makes people crazy. This makes people nuts. But first, we have to say thank you to our another sponsor on today's show, Birch Gold. So if you've been wondering, if you think the country's going to hell in a handbasket, because we're either going to be run by a guy who doesn't know anything about anything, or the reanimated corpse of Frankenstein's bride, then you may want to start looking at investing in some solid metals, because it's possible we're all screwed. So Birch Gold Group is a place that you can talk to about this. You can move your IRA or eligible 401k into an IRA backed by physical gold and silver and save on your taxes. And the folks at Birch Gold Group know how to do that. They have a long-standing track record of success and lots of satisfied clients. They have a lot of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, which is great, so you know they're not a scam. Contact Birch Gold Group now. Request a free information kit on physical precious metals. It's a comprehensive 16-page kit, and it tells you how gold and silver can protect your savings, how you can move that IRA or 401k out of stocks and bonds and into precious metals. To get that no-cost, no-obligation kit, talk to one of their experts. Call Birch Group Gold at 800-496-6663. That's 800-496-6663, or go to birchgold.com/Ben. birchgold.com/Ben. Make sure you add the /Ben so they know that we sent you. That's 800-496-6663, or online at birchgold.com, birchgold.com/Ben. Okay, well, if you want to continue to watch us live, we now have new capacity, folks. It's exciting. If you are a subscriber, you don't have to wait for the rest of the show. You don't have to wait for our lazy bum employees here to upload it 2 hours from now. Instead, you can go to dailywire.com if you're a subscriber, and we are totally live. The show continues totally live. It's so magical. Go to dailywire.com, $8 a month. You can watch us totally live, be part of the mailbag, enjoy the sights and sounds of the Ben Shapiro Show, the #1 podcast on the conservative side of the aisle in America. So check us out there. Otherwise, just check us out later at iTunes or SoundCloud, and you can download the audio for free there. And again, we are the #1 conservative podcast in America, and thank you for making us that. Alrighty, so as I say, there are 3 issues with Hillary Clinton. One is she's a pathological liar. Even on things, imagine that 6 months ago she'd come out and she'd said, you know what, I'm suffering from some ill health. Would that be a big deal? Last week I was out for 3 days, right? Or 2 days, because I guess yesterday, because we had Labor Day last week. But 2 days I was out last week, and I said, I have laryngitis. Today I'm under the weather, right? I'm fully transparent with you. I do not have cancer, I have laryngitis, and I'm still finishing the after effects of it, and I'm on an antibiotic. See how easy that was? But Hillary, because she is so paranoid, and she really is, she's like Nixonian paranoid. Because she's so deeply paranoid, she has no capacity not to lie. So in any situation where there's controversy, she feels the need to lie. So that's story number 1. Because of that, we can't believe anything she says about her health. So when she says, yeah, I'm fine, the rest of us look at her and go, well, then why do you look like you were just excavated from some sort of archaeological dig, and you're going to try and kill Brendan Fraser? Right? So that's number 2. Number 3 is the media are just egregious on this. So Brian Stelter over at CNN. Watch what Brian Stelter had to say. This is Sunday. As this is unfolding, here's Brian Stelter.
Let's be honest, Jeff. They had this horrible photo on the cover of that supermarket tabloid. Clearly, Hillary was photoshopped in the picture. I thought it was disgusting. And yet, even though there's these conspiracy theories, which we should not give oxygen to, saying that she's secretly ill, suggesting she's on her deathbed, which we can see she's not, there are legitimate questions asked by reporters. And I think that's the distinction here to me.
He says so that you can't ask questions. Don't give oxygen to conspiracy theories. And NBC's Alex Witt says the same thing, that Hillary has a traveling physician who travels with her everywhere, right? Like she's a traveling potentate. And she says that's not a big deal. That's just a precaution. It's not because she's sick or anything. It's just a precaution.
May I ask you, though, the extent to which Secretary Clinton travels with a physician? There has been some hay made of that. I will also say anecdotally, Kristen, that my father's a physician. I've spoken with him and other family members and other physicians about the prospect of, if the secretary travels with a physician, it is merely a precautionary measure. When someone is taking blood thinners, it is important to have sort of a protective layer there in case there were to be a fall. It's not necessarily some emergency focus, but rather something that just in case it's a wise thing to do.
Okay,
do you know
hold on. How many people do you know who have a doctor who travels around with them on a daily basis because it's just a wise thing to do? Anybody? Like, my dad is on blood pressure medication. He doesn't have a doctor who follows him around 24 hours a day. If he has a problem, he goes to the doctor or calls the doctor. Hillary's got a doctor on call for her 24 hours a day. Does Trump? I missed the part where Trump did. So the media start covering this up. And they, again, as I mentioned, the media starts saying, oh, she stumbled. She didn't stumble, okay? They say that she had a little wobble. She never wobbled. She pitched face first forward like a comedy drunk. I mean, she goes face first, and they catch her, and they dump her in like a sack into the van. And then she pops out for 30 seconds and disappears again to Chappaqua, and everything is fine. We're supposed to believe everything is cool. Again, none of this makes sense. None of this makes sense, right? They're saying that the cough was not the pneumonia, but she had pneumonia, but she wasn't contagious enough to give it to the little girl. But everybody on the team had a disease Okay, none of this makes any sense. Their story is shifted about 8 different times here. The first rule to a good lie is that you stick with it. You don't change your lie every single moment. I mean, this is seriously. I'm looking for the actual narrative over the last 24 hours from the Democrats. It was, quote, it was. There were really 6 steps here. She's fine. She has allergies. She's overheated. She's fine. See, she's hugging a child. She has pneumonia. Everybody has a terrible virus. That was I'm not making that up. That's their actual timeline here. So next thing we know, it's going to be she unleashed contagion. We're all going to die. Sorry to break it to you, but Hillary was fibbing the whole time. Well, now even the media are realizing they can't cover this sucker up much longer. Sanjay Gupta, who really likes Hillary, he said, yeah, she should probably see a doctor.
If you were her physician, would you tell her, maybe do some medical exam? Before you do that, would you check her in, or at least have a physician take a closer look? What would you do?
Yeah, I think I would, and this has less to do with the fact that she's Hillary Clinton or a candidate for president. But I think if you hear of anybody who's having this episode that's a little bit unusual, maybe not surprising given again the heat of the day and the medications. But I think, as you say, out of an abundance of caution, I'd probably want to make sure that her blood pressure, do routine EKG, check some basic lab values. And that's not, in medicine, you have your strong suspicions. And I think, again, the most common conclusion here is what we've been talking about.
Okay,
but
so he says you should get checked out by a doctor, and that's exactly right. Tom Brokaw says Hillary should have gone to a hospital to see a neurologist.
Just this morning, I had a rather detailed message from a Republican who was inside, and he was raising questions about as well, saying, I don't know whether this is true, but here are the incidents that we're all watching. So that's in play, and we're already seeing today the social media activity that is going on. I think that she should go to a hospital and see a neurologist and get a clean report if it's available to her. This is not something that can be dealt with at her daughter's apartment in the context of where we are.
Okay, so she says she should go to the hospital. And then you got Cokie Roberts saying maybe Hillary should step down.
Democrats were already saying that Hillary was the only candidate who could not beat Trump, and it's taking her off of the campaign trail, canceling her trip to California today.
Yeah.
Right. It has them very nervously beginning to whisper about having her step aside and finding another candidate.
That is no small thing.
Okay, quick point to make here. Okay, for all the people who are I don't understand people who are on the Trump side who are very upset about Hillary Clinton being very ill. They should be happy, presumably, because she's supposed to ruin the world, right? She's the most dangerous person in history. What happens if she drops out? Then presumably the most dangerous person in history isn't going to run this thing anymore. Basically, at this point, I'm almost to the point where I think that whoever pledges to get sick enough to resign from the presidency first may get my vote, because I really don't like either one of these candidates very much, as you may have noticed. But obviously, Hillary has problems, and even the media are beginning to take notice. But they're undercutting their own case, because they spent months saying she's fine. They spent months saying she's totally cool, everything is hunky-dory. And then they turn around and they say, no, it turns out everything is not hunky-dory. Meanwhile, by the way, okay, let's do some good Trump, bad Trump. Today, a lot of good Trump. So thanks to Brandon Snipes for our theme song.
Good Trump, bad Trump, which one will we get today?
Actually, a lot of good Trump today. A lot of good Trump today. This is starting off to be a very good week for Donald Trump. I mean, it's sad that a good week for Donald Trump has to start off with his opponent collapsing into the back of a van, but there you have it. But Donald Trump actually maintained his non-total crazy. So Donald Trump has been, well, we'll get to bad Trump, which is more kind of from late last week, because I didn't have a chance to talk about it. But good Trump is Donald Trump not saying stupid things. That's the best you can hope for from Trump in this situation. Don't be stupid, right? Donald, like somebody's in the back room saying to him, Donald, Hillary collapsed into a van. And he says, well, that's great. And they say, no, Donald, you can't say that publicly. So here's what we're going to do. We need you to go out there, and we need you to say that you're sad that she feels bad. That's what we need you to say. And he's like, but I don't. And they, no, but really, just tweet that you feel bad, that she's feeling bad. And then they took him and they actually duct taped him to a wall for 12 hours. And then finally, when they released him, here's what Donald Trump had to say on Fox and Friends this morning, and this is the right answer.
The coughing fit was a week ago, so I assume that was pneumonia also. I mean, I would think it would have been, so something's going on. But I just hope she gets well and gets back on the trail, and we'll be seeing her at the debate.
Okay, exactly the right answer. I hope she gets well, and we'll see her on the trail, and we'll see her at the debates. Right answer, Donald Trump. Look at that. Acting like a normal human being. This is the correct answer for a presidential candidate. Then he does something smart. He says, okay, she won't release any of her medical records. I had a physical last week, and I will go on Dr. Oz's show, and I will release my physical records. Here's Trump.
I think it's an issue. In fact, this last week, I took a physical, and I'll be releasing when the numbers come in. Hopefully they're going to be good. I think they're going to be good. I feel great. But when the numbers come in, I'll be releasing very specific numbers.
Okay, so smart. This is what he should be doing, right? This is disciplined Trump. Disciplined Trump is better Trump, right? This is good Trump. Disciplined Trump is better Trump. And then he says one more thing. And this last one is really not a big deal for Trump. I don't think it's bad Trump. I don't really think it fits into either good Trump or bad Trump. It's just sort of Trumpy. But Trump says something, and you'll see how corrupt the media is by how quickly they jump on this statement. Here was Trump talking more at length about Hillary's health issues.
And, it was interesting because they say pneumonia on Friday, but she was coughing very badly a week ago, and even before that, if you remember. This wasn't the first time. So it's very interesting to see what is going on. I want her to get better. I want her to get out there. I look forward to seeing her in the debate. I will say this, the scheduling, if you look at my scheduling and compare it to anybody else's scheduling, it is not a contest.
Okay, so people are, I'd not be surprised if the media jumps on this and says he's trying to overreach. This is their favorite thing. Whenever a Democrat has a scandal, the media cover the Republican overreach. Whenever a Republican has a scandal, they cover the substance of the scandal. Okay, so let's put all of this aside for a moment. This wasn't the only bad thing Hillary did over the weekend. So over the weekend, Hillary Clinton goes in front of her supporters, and she says that the Trump people are what she calls a basket of deplorables. We mentioned this up top at the front of the show. Here's what she said.
Be grossly generalistic. You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. But that other basket of people are people who feel the government has let them down, the economy has let them down, nobody cares about them.
Okay, so she takes half the Trump people and she says basically they're the alt-right. Okay, that's a wild exaggeration. At best, 5% of the people who support Trump are actually alt-righters. Most of the people who support Trump don't like her, or not happy with what the government has done, or they think her vision for what the government should be is wrong. There are a lot of different reasons to vote for Trump. And lumping everybody into one giant category is really stupid and really silly. But she says it anyway. And what's amazing is I want to contrast something. Here's the flashback. Mitt Romney making his famous 47% comments. This is back in 2012.
There are 47% of the people who will vote for the president no matter what. All right, there are 47% who are with him, who are dependent on government, who believe that they're victims, who believe the government has a responsibility to care for them, who believe that they're entitled to health care, to food, to housing, to you name it. But it's an entitlement, and the government should give it to them. And they will vote for this president no matter what. And I mean, the president starts off with 48, 49, 40, he starts off with a huge number. These are people who pay no income tax. 47% of Americans pay no income tax. So
stop it there. The point I want to make here is that he's sort of going after people on the left side of the aisle, saying that they're people who believe in a victim mentality. They're people who believe that the government owes them something. Okay, there is a percentage of Democrats who definitely believe that for sure. Then there are a bunch of people who vote Democrat because they've been told that we're evil and nasty. But there's something important here that people are going to miss, and that is, notice the setting. So in the Romney tape, Romney is saying this in a private setting, not in a microphone. Hillary is on camera. She knows she's on camera. She's on mic. She knows she's on mic, which means that for Democrats, this is not just a by-the-way sort of thing. For Democrats, this is the root and branch of their entire philosophy. Their entire philosophy rests on the idea that you are evil, that I am evil, that we are racist, sexist, bigot, homophobes. When she said earlier in the campaign, we're not all alt-right, what she was trying to do was say to people like Shapiro, okay, Shapiro, I know you're not alt-right, but if you really want to show you're not alt-right, you have to vote for me. But if you vote for Trump, or if you say you're not going to vote for either, then that means that you must be a member of this alt-right. It was really a blackmail attempt, not a true distinction between normal conservatives and the alt-right. But the entire left philosophy rests on this notion that we're the bad guys. We're just morally bad people. That we're morally bad people. And this is one of the problems that I have just generally with this election cycle. One of the things that we keep hearing is what I'm about to show you from this Home Depot co-founder. This is Bernie Marcus. Before I get to that, I want to make one more quick point about this. I think the right can overplay this deplorables thing. I know that my company that I work for, Salem Communications, they have what they're calling their deplorables tour. Now, they've renamed it after what Hillary Clinton said, and I think that's a mistake, too, because the truth is there are some deplorables inside the Trump camp, and by claiming that we're all deplorables, like taking Hillary's label and then sticking it on ourselves, we're actually sort of saying there's no such thing as deplorables, and there are such things as deplorables. For example, here was a deplorables meme that was put out yesterday, and this was put out by, I believe, was this David Duke, this one, or Roger Stone? This one was Roger Stone. And Roger Stone put it out with pictures of him, and it's the Expendables, for people who can't see, and Alex Jones, who's legitimately a nutcase, and Pepe the Frog, the meme, and Milo Yiannopoulos. This wasn't even the worst one. David Duke put one out that had himself in it, right, the deplorables. So the idea that there are no bad people in the Trump side of the aisle is not true. If you just embrace Hillary's definition, yeah, we're all deplorables, and you're calling us all racist, sexist, bigot, homophobes, that's a mistake too. Okay, but the real point I want to make is back to this Home Depot co-founder Bernie Marcus. So Bernie Marcus is a big Republican supporter, and from everything I've heard, a very good guy. And Bernie Marcus was on TV making the case that if you're not actively supporting Trump, meaning if you're not just shilling for Trump, then you're supporting Hillary Clinton.
But his actions now just confuse me terribly. And all of the Republicans out there who say the same thing. I had dinner with somebody last week who, out of the Midwest, was a great supporter of the Republican Party for many, many years, and said, I'm not voting, I'm just not voting, and that's the end of it. I hate Donald Trump. So I said, well, therefore, you're going to vote for Hillary Clinton. He said, no, she's corrupt. I can't vote for her. I said, well, if you don't vote for her and you don't support Donald Trump, you're going to stay neutral. You might as well vote for her, because your lack of vote for Donald means that she's going to get elected
anyway. Some of them
anyway.
don't care, but Bernie, some of them don't care. They go so far as to say, all right, so be it. I actually prefer Hillary Clinton.
Well,
you have Meg Whitman out in California doing that. What do you think?
Okay, so we can stop it there, but the math here is so wrong. I mean, obviously, we've made this argument 1,000 times. I get this literally every 5 seconds on Twitter, almost literally every 5 seconds on Twitter. This, if you don't support Trump strongly enough, then you're really supporting Hillary. If you don't shill for him. First of all, people who say this to me, my vote doesn't matter, and they know my vote doesn't matter. And if I said right now, today, I'm voting for Donald Trump, it wouldn't make any difference so long as I continue to criticize Donald Trump. The reason that I oppose this lesser of two evils logic, the reason I oppose it is because it literally justifies any bad behavior, because you just point to the other person. You just point to the other person. So, for example, let's say that Donald Trump, and we've seen it throughout this election cycle, on both sides. So Hillary Clinton won't reveal her medical records, right? And we're mad about that. She should, because it's not fair. What if she gets elected and she dies 3 months in, and the American people were never given the opportunity to vote on the actual person who was running for president, Tim Kaine, right? Or Joe Biden, whoever substitutes for her, right? What exactly is presumably Kaine if she's elected? So what Democrats say, their response to that is, well, we just voted for her to stop Trump. And Trump won't release his IRS returns anyway. He won't release his IRS. So why should she release her medical records? He won't release his IRS returns. And every time somebody says about Trump, why don't you release your IRS returns, he says, well, Hillary won't release her medical records. She just won't do it. Let's say that Donald Trump tomorrow, let's say that he hit a woman with his car and she died. Let's say that happened. Trump supporters could plausibly say, well, what do Democrats have to complain about? They can't complain about this. After all, they elevated Ted Kennedy, who drove a car off a bridge and drowned a woman, and then made him their Senate leader. He was the lion of the Senate. They did the same thing with Trump on the KKK. When Trump went soft on the KKK several months ago, people said, well, yeah, but Robert Byrd. And you see with Hillary Clinton, when Hillary Clinton lies about her private email server, her supporters just say, yeah, well, Donald Trump's corrupt, and he says he brags about bribing people. And the problem with the lesser of two evils thinking is that if the other person everybody has done things that are wrong. If the other side has done all the wrong things, no matter what wrong thing you do, you can always claim you're superior to them, which means you end up with the lowest common denominator. So this week's example of that was Donald Trump on Vladimir Putin. So Donald Trump, I didn't have a chance to comment on this last week, but I really think this is worthy of comment. Because what I've always worried about with Trump, and the reason why I have said that I'm not voting for either of them, is because I'm concerned that conservatives are shifting the definition of conservatism to meet Donald Trump, and then they just point at Hillary and say it's okay if we do that because at least we're not as bad as Hillary. We're watching it happen on Vladimir Putin. We're watching it happen on free trade. People who were pro-free trade are now anti-free trade. The polls show this. And Vladimir Putin is now viewed significantly more positively. Inside the Republican Party, he's at a negative 27. 2 years ago, he was at a negative 66 with the Republican Party. That's because of Donald Trump. On free trade, we were net positive on free trade. We're now 20 points underwater on free trade. That's because of Donald Trump. That's because people are willing to shift their definition of conservatives or be more enthusiastic about his definition than about real conservatism. So here's Donald Trump on Vladimir Putin last week.
But the fact that you say you can get along with him,
I think I'll be able to get along with him.
Do you think the day that you become president of the United States, he's going to change his mind on some of these key issues?
Possibly. It's possible. I don't know, Matt. It's possible. And it's not going to have any impact. If he says great things about me, I'm going to say great things about him. I've already said he is really very much of a leader. I mean, you can say, oh, isn't that a terrible thing? He called. I mean, the man has very strong control over a country. Now, it's a very different system, and I don't happen to like the system. But certainly in that system, he's been a leader far more than our president has been a leader. We have a divided country.
Okay, and he says he's been more of a leader, more than Obama's been. And then Lauer follows up with him and says, well, yeah, but he's done all these bad things. And Trump says, yeah, but Obama's done bad things too. And that's nothing new. He said this back in October too, when interviewer asked Trump, yeah, but he kills people, right? He kills people legitimately. And Trump said back in October, yeah, well, we kill people too. I mean, this is bad stuff. It's bad stuff, okay? Hugh Hewitt, who, again, I don't want to pick on Hugh, but Hugh's become a real cheerleader for Donald Trump throughout this campaign. And Hugh, you know, he went out of his way on Twitter to go around basically backing up Donald Trump. Yeah, Putin's a strong leader. First of all, there are two definitions of strong leader. One is what Trump was saying, and one is what Trump was not saying, okay? The idea that that Putin's a strong leader, by definition, a dictator is a strong man. It's a synonym. Right? If you control a country, then presumably you're a strong man. But I don't hear him doing the same routine, for example, about the mullahs in Iran. I don't hear him doing the same routine about Kim Jong-un in North Korea. He only does it about Putin, because he's really talking about how he kind of likes the moral quality of Putin. Putin's a guy who stands up for his country, stands up for his country's interests. Hugh Hewitt was saying Mao was a strong leader too. He was a bad guy who killed 45 million people in 4 years during the Great Leap Forward. But Mao was a strong guy too. But look at Trump's, but the key here is how Trump justifies himself, right? The way that Trump justifies himself is he says, yeah, at least he's not Obama. At least Putin's not Obama. Or at least I'm not Obama. Maybe I'm praising a bad guy, but at least I'm not Obama. Newt Gingrich sort of did the same routine. He was asked about, are you comfortable or uncomfortable with Donald Trump praising Vladimir Putin? Here was Giuliani.
But you can't be comfortable with this continued praise of Vladimir Putin.
I'm not comfortable or uncomfortable with it. I think that Putin is a fact. I don't think our effort to say bad things it's been pathetic. There was a red line on Syria, it didn't work. There's a red line on Crimea, it didn't work. I mean, at what point do we recognize that this guy exists and calling him names may not be the best strategy we have?
Insane. This is insane what Newt Gingrich is saying. But Newt Gingrich, I don't care. I'm not comfortable or uncomfortable with him saying wonderful things about a guy who's a thug who murders journalists and his political opponents. Why? Because, well, at least he hasn't been weak like Obama. If that's how we're going to do elections from now on, folks, there will never be another candidate you like. There won't. Because we're just going to keep nominating the person who's the worst person, because the worst person is the person